when you see takeoff, landing, safe flights with solar impulse, you might have the impression that it's easy, but behind this, there is a huge team, logistic, hangars, material, equipment, electronic, mission control center, and all this makes it a much more complex project behind the scene than what it can seem. And André has a story to tell you about it.
You know what I was afraid of happened yesterday? To make a small mistake, to have a small accident which could jeopardize what we are doing. And suddenly, the mobile hangar started to deflate and touch the airplane. I tell you, it was incredible. But thanks to the reaction of the team, of the ground team, and thanks to the reaction of one guy, Niels Rieser, who is the head of this ground team, he took the decision to reboot the system, and the mobile hangar started to reinflate again. But the major question at this moment was, did we damage the aircraft? Because you have to realize that this is the worst position of this airplane. That's why it gets the highest load. This airplane likes to fly, but it doesn't like to sit on the ground. And if you apply little weight on the wing, you can be overloaded. So the question was, were we? The point at which the mobile hangar touched the airplane was minor, and the engineers could conclude that the aircraft structure is in good shape and we can continue to fly. But I tell you, it's a relief. I mean, it was incredible moment and very difficult for everyone. But we are back on track. Hope to fly tomorrow. Bertrand will do the flight. Wish you a great flight. It's a great airplane. I tell you, it's a great airplane. And tomorrow, I'll be following you on the website on solarimpulse.com. But so if you wish, you can do the same, and we'll join all of us and follow what Bertrand will be doing and what the MCC will be doing in Monaco.
Eight cameras all together outside the plane, in the cockpit, in the mission control, and then live when André is going to prepare the landing for me in Pennsylvania.
And I'm sure you will be able to make a tweet directly from the airplane as well.
Absolutely. No, we really have to share all this adventure.
So we'll follow on Twitter as well, and of course Facebook.
There are better moments than others. Last night it was really stressful when we had to control the plane. Tomorrow I hope we can really share our joy of the project with everyone on solarimpulse.com and Twitter and Facebook and everything. And we start to get gray hair, both of us.
More yesterday than ever. And we have joy today. I tell you, we have great joy. It's fantastic. We're so happy.
Welcome back to Solar Impulse TV, live from the Mission Control Center in Monaco. Well, if it were easy to fly a solar airplane around the world, it would already have been done. There you hear from Bertrand Piccard and André Borschberg about some of the drama that was happening yesterday and some of the excitement that we had to deal with and the reason that we did not, in fact, fly yesterday. However, all the engineering checks have been done and the airplane seems to be in good shape. So we are ready to fly. We are going to be going from Dayton to Lehigh Valley International Airport in Pennsylvania. It'll be a 17-hour flight, and it will be Bertrand Piccard at the controls. He's going to be doing lots of Facebook Lives. He's going to be doing interviews, and I will be chatting to all the people at the MCC here, and we've got lots going on. So I'm going to connect you to the live stream. We've got the guys on the ground in Dayton. They're doing a meeting, and then there will be the rollout, the taxing, and lots of other stuff's going on. So here's the live stream, and we will be back to you for the landing show in about an hour. I forgot to mention that takeoff is at 10 o'clock local. So that is 8 o'clock UTC, and that is going to be about 4 a.m. in Dayton. So stay tuned. Hello, Andre. Do you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. Hi, Corey.
Excellent. We have with us André Borschberg, one of the founders of Solar Impulse and one of the pilots as well. But today he's going to be the pilot on the ground. Andre, you were just, we had a video clip earlier of you and Bertrand describing what happened yesterday. But maybe you can remind our viewers of all the excitement and how you are breathing a sigh of relief today. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, that's right. We are so happy to be back, in fact, to normal, if I can put it this way, as we had some enormous emotion, not yesterday, but the day before. You know, what has been worrying me since many weeks happens. I mean, a little failure, a little problem, but which led basically to the almost the collapse of the mobile hangar that you see behind me, which is a structure which is inflated with air, and we had one failure which led, in fact, to the structure falling down and touching slightly the airplane. And of course, the question was, did we have any damage? And we have two kinds of potential damage. One is, the one that you can see, and normally you can repair because it's external, and the one which is on the structure, it's inside. It's like you break an arm and you break a bone. You don't see it normally from outside unless it's completely twisted, but if it's not the case, you don't see it. But it hurts, but the airplane doesn't tell us that it hurts for him, and therefore you don't see that. And the major question was this one. And if you don't know, if you have the uncertainty, you cannot fly anymore. And so we really had to look at everything. Every information we had pictures, we had witnesses, but we also had markings, and we did, Sherlock Holmes works the entire night before, and gave all this to the engineers who analyze, look at it, and look at all the possibilities, the loads, and came to the conclusion that we were away from any risk. So I tell you, we're extremely happy to be back to normal today, and for Bertrand now to proceed further to the east along the plan with the weather window just fine, rain coming behind us. So I don't want to say we're in a hurry, but we proceed.
And Andre, it sounds like you and the team have been very, very busy on the ground there, but have you had any time to see Dayton and to visit some of the places you wanted to visit?
Yes, for sure. I mean, we were asking ourselves this morning, how did you sleep? I mean, what do you mean by sleeping? So it's not a question of how, it's a question of sleeping certainly later, but in some ways, that's also the nice part of this type of project, and you get a little bit tired, but it creates also a great spirit with the team. And I think we had a great spirit. We pulled together, we stick together, we work together. The engineers in Dubendorf, the MCCD in Monaco, and the team here in the United States. And if it's done well, it creates really strong bonding. And I think that's what we experienced the last 2 days.
Excellent. Well, I'm sure that...
it was even... I think it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and one of the guys... Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead, Andre.
Corey, can you hear me? No, just to tell you that it was 1 o'clock in the morning, not today, but the night before, and one of the guys is a great specialty of fondue, something the Swiss people like, and we decided, okay, now we have a short break, we eat the fondue, and I tell you, this was bringing the energy back to everyone, and these are very small things, but which makes at the end the life also wonderful here.
That's great. I don't know how often fondue is served in Dayton, Ohio, but I'm sure it's not that often, so I'm sure that's great to hear that you're bringing a bit of Switzerland to Dayton. Can you tell me a little bit about today's flight?
So today's flight the goal is to proceed very close to New York. It's quite difficult afterwards to access to JFK, which will be the point of departure for the flight across the Atlantic. And of course, that there is a huge traffic. You have to calm at certain altitude, at certain moments. So to combine this with the weather is pretty hard. So we decided to have a first landing not far away at a place called Lehigh Valley. It's a nice small airport in a certainly lovely town of the east of United States, slightly west of New York. And from there, we'll be waiting for the next and appropriate weather window to proceed to JFK, which we expect next week. So we'll have a few days waiting, which is not bad because we have the Memorial Weekend here in the United States, which is a big celebration. And I think it makes everyone's life easier, in fact, to proceed this way. So everything is getting together. The goal is also next week, of course, to fly over the Statue of Liberty, but we'll talk more about that, I'm sure, in the future days.
And one question about that for you, André, and then I'll let you go, which is you've landed at JFK before in Solar Impulse 1. Are you excited about landing there in Solar Impulse 2?
Oh, very much so. I landed in JFK 3 years ago with Solar Impulse 1, tried to do the Statue of Liberty at the time, and I couldn't do it because I had technical problems, which really needed to be completely focused on the airplane itself. So we didn't want to go in this part of the world. So I tried to do it this time. FAA has been fantastic to authorize us to go once in the morning, very early at sunrise, and the second time at night. So it's going to be a long flight, more than 26 hours, but I think it's going to be extraordinary because it's so symbolic to be at this place. I was just visiting the Wright Brother Museum here in Dayton, and one of the flights he did, I think it was Orville who did the flight, as far as I remember, was of course the first airplane flying over the Statue of Liberty. He didn't have to deal with, coordinating the traffic with other because he knew there was nobody else. There was only this airplane flying at the time. But it's also a beautiful picture, so I'm looking forward and hopefully it works to have Solar Impulse up there in the sky.
I'm not sure he imagined that a few decades later that a solar-powered airplane would be making the same trip.
Yeah, right. I think I remember reading here in Dayton that I think Orville as well said once, maybe just after the first flights or the first years that these guys were flying, that he couldn't believe it was possible to fly over the Atlantic, something that Charles Lindbergh did 25 years later. So I think it's always difficult to see, in fact, where the technology can lead us. I mean, that's the same question we have here. A lot of people asking us, when are we going to fly solar with the transport airplane? Of course, it's extremely difficult for us to see how we will do it. That we have an unmanned version of Solar Impulse flying in the sky for 6 months, I think that's something which can be done in a few years from now. But really, to be able to transport hundreds of people, we will need different solutions, different technologies. We hope it will work once, but we'll see.
Well, lots of things to think about. I should let you get back because I know there's lots of work that you have on the ground there. Maybe before we let you go, remind what are we going to be speaking to you today? Will be Bertrand will be in touch. Will you be doing a Facebook Live or some other, or tweeting or any other events like that?
Yeah, certainly. Certainly, I think we'll adapt a little bit to the schedule. But of course, if we can share the experience here on the ground, and I'm sure, as you said, that you'll be talking to Bertrand. So that's the goal, of course. Yes.
Excellent, André. Thank you very much for your time. We'll let you get back to your hard work and hope everything goes smoothly this morning.
That's great. Talk to you later, Corey. Bye-bye.
André Borschberg there, one of the pilots and co-founder of Solar Impulse 2. He's going to be on the ground today, but he will most certainly be answering some questions and doing various different things on Twitter and be available. Here, we've got a map of Dayton Airport, and I just am going to show you where we are going to be, which runway we are going to be taking off from. It's going to be this runway, and we'll be taking off this direction, so we'll be taxiing out and going down. The taxiing should start in about 20 minutes time. It takes a bit of time with Solar Impulse to taxi from the hangar out to the runway. That is because Solar Impulse, it's actually people pushing the airplane. It's not taxiing on its own. Just a quick reminder of how the takeoff procedure works. The airplane will go out to the point where it will is getting ready for takeoff. There's a whole ground crew. There will be people on the handling masts, which are on either wing. There are going to be people in front of the airplane, behind the airplane. There will be 2 cars, a follow-me car, and then 1 car which will have the mission director, the deputy mission director on the ground there. When the plane takes off, there are actually also 2 some chase bicycles. Those are Stromer, our partner Stromer, that offers those uses those electric bicycles, and they will be chasing Solar Impulse as it takes off, just in case there is a. And actually, I hear now that the plane is going to be rolling out of the hangar. So we'll bring you back to those images, and we'll update you more on the actual takeoff and how things are going as the morning continues.
Yes.
Pilot board. Pilot boarding is 3 minutes, so I need to move. Hey, hold on. No, hold on. Keep me and move the other camera so we have the same shot, okay? Okay? So I have it, okay, all right.
Ready for André to fly over the Statue of Liberty next week, and then for me to carry over to Europe. So it's a flight that I'm really looking forward to do, because in any case, it's great to fly with that plane. Silent, no pollution, zero emissions, no fuel, and each flight is a privilege. In each flight, we have the impression when we fly to jump into the future, to be in a moment of science fiction, and then when we land, it's like going back in the past. We're still in a world that pollutes, that depletes natural resources, that makes pollutions, that, well, it's a world that could be much cleaner. This is why we have the Future is Clean logo on the fuselage. And I think this is also why so many people follow us. We have 8 cameras live, 5 on the airplane and inside the cockpit, 3 in the Mission Control Center in Monaco, for people to follow the live stream during the entire flight, the preparation, the flight, and the landing. So today people can follow us at solarimpulse.com, and we'll do a big story when André is going to fly over the Statue of Liberty next week. So the goal is really to not be alone in the cockpit. We like people to be with us.
Dayton is home to the Wright brothers. They were the original 2 that made this whole thing happen. How big of a deal is it to be in Dayton, to be able to have the opportunity to do this?
A little bit sad to leave Dayton so early. We could spend only 2 days, but enough to discover a little bit more about the Wright brothers story. Of course, you know, we read both a lot about what they did, and as we all know how important this is for aviation. But to see how they did it, I think is extremely interesting. You know, the way they could not be taken by the other was saying, but developing their own views, their own reality, their own experience, to understand not only how to fly, because I think we started to understand that, you know, flying was maybe possible, but how to control an airplane, which is of course much beyond in terms of development. So for us, you know, with Solar Impulse, and I think for everyone in the team, that's a very interesting stop. It was extremely meaningful. The stop of the pioneering world in the United States. So a little bit sad to leave, but as Bertrand said, you know, happy to progress. As you can see, we can take off by night with this airplane.
And the reason
Although it is solar.
Exactly. The reason we can fly, in fact, with a solar airplane by night is that it's extremely efficient. We have, of course, energy that we stored. That's energy I had when I landed, so there is no change. I think we could add a little bit from the sun through the mobile hangar, but there is no change, in fact, from the energy that I had, and we can continue by night thanks to the fact that this airplane is extremely energy efficient. And that's a bit this view of the world that we'd like to demonstrate during each flight is how we can use this efficiency everywhere.
And you know, we have Steve Wright who is here. And when I was with him, it was moving because, you know, modern aviation is a combination of what his great-granduncle did and what my grandfather did. Because the Wright brothers, they developed the way to fly, and my grandfather invented the pressurized cabin, which he took to the stratosphere in 1931. And modern aviation is a combination of both. Otherwise, airplanes would not fly without the Wright brothers, and without my grandfather, the airplane would still fly very low altitude, unpressurized. So it's this combination of several pioneering adventures who make the present. And the future has to continue, because it would be sad to stay forever with what we have today. We have to understand that we can do better and move ahead. So if we can have, in the few years, solar airplanes, or at least electrical airplanes, who fly at high altitude, transporting passengers in a completely clean way, that will be a beautiful jump into the future. And this is what we try to do, continue the story.
You guys had an extra day in Dayton. What did you all do? Did you stay here on site? Did you all have an opportunity to go out? What did you guys do?
There's much to see. There's a fantastic museum I could barely discover. I think it's one of the most incredible airplane museums that I've seen around the world. And I think it shows everything which happened in this country in terms of aviation. So you can spend not only days, but you can spend weeks here if you want to discover everything. So we have to come back, that's for sure.
What's the future look like? What are you all hoping the future looks like for aviation? Also for, they discussed solar power for cars as well. I mean, what are you all wanting to see ultimately with all this?
You know, solar power for commercial aviation is not yet ready. Because what we do here, to be able to fly day and night on solar, means a huge wingspan, very lightweight, and one guy on board. A little bit like the Wright brothers had in 1903. We see that the development can happen. But before we have solar airplanes flying with passengers, we will have electric airplanes, which won't be solar necessarily. They will be plugged on the grid. But if it comes from solar power, wind power, hydroelectricity, biomass, geothermia, or renewable energies, it will be clean. And these electric airplanes, I bet in 10 years' time, will transport 50 people for short or medium-haul flights. They will land in the middle of the night, in the middle of cities, with no noise, with no pollution, disturbing nobody. It's a new market for the aviation industry and for the airlines and for the airports. So you see, when you have renewable energies, you can do more than when we have the dependency to fossil energy. And this is what we want to show. It's not a way to limit the development, it's a way to do more, to offer more, to create jobs, to make profit, to have a clean GDP growth.
You know, it's interesting to see if you look at aviation in the 50s with the 707, and you look at the aviation today with the 7, the 787. I mean, if you look at this airplane, you have the impression it's very similar. So of course we improved a lot. Of course they are more energy efficient. They make less noise, but at the end it's the same technology. So we feel there is a need of disruption. There is a need, in fact, to look at the question differently. You know, when you fly with fuel that you have on board, if you want to fly longer, you need more fuel to just take the fuel that you need. And it's getting worse and worse.
It's a vicious circle at the end.
It's a vicious circle, exactly. So you have a limit by definition. So that's the first step in, different way, different technology. It's much too early. And I remember, I think Orville said that he had difficulty to believe that it was possible to cross the ocean when he started. I mean, when they started to fly. So it's of course very difficult to anticipate what will come next. But maybe that's the first step in a new way to think about aviation.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We have to get the pilot onto the airplane soon, but just before we do that, we have a little going away from our friends, from the Wright family friends to the pilots. Oh, there you go.
Thanks everybody for coming out tonight. You know, 113 years ago, if you were here in Dayton, you might be able to take a streetcar out to a little place called Huffman Prairie, and you'd see an amazing machine there take flight if you hid in the bushes. My great-grandmother was a very secretive of that machine. You've shared much with the world, and it's an equally remarkable machine. And we thank you so much for coming to Dayton and embracing us with your presence. You've really brought us, restored a sense of wonder in aviation through this incredible machine. We didn't want you guys to leave town without a few souvenirs. You've got this wonderful Solar Impulse uniforms that you wear all the time, but we thought it might be nice to be left Dayton with a few Wright Brothers fashion items as well. So here to present those to you is Ken Boss, who's the president of Wright Brothers USA, our online store, and I'll hand it over to Ken.
Good evening or good morning, whichever way you look at it. It's a pleasure to represent the Wright Brothers Family Foundation, and for a memento to show you the support from Dayton, Ohio, from the Wright Brothers. We have 2 T-shirts that we would like you to accept from us.
Thank you very much. That's very kind. Thank you so much. Wright Brother T-shirt for the Solar Brothers.
Wright Brothers.
Thank you very much.
Great. I think I have to board the plane now.
We want them to leave, actually.
So, yes, you don't want your microphone to fly to New York?
No, that'd be tragic. And if you could have him get that one for me, please.
With pleasure, you know, we like to share that adventure. That's the goal of it.
I almost left with that.
I would have gone to New York.
Steal him. We need him to fly.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you for your welcome. Bye. Thank you very much. That's really kind. Bye-bye. Steve. Big hug to Amanda.
Thank
I see you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're going to
We'll be together.
Merci. See you in Lehigh. Safe flight. Thank you.
chef.
Attends pas la pluie, hein.
Ouais. Okay. Goodbye, Dayton! Thank you for your welcome!
Well, just 1 minute, 1 second clean shots for media. 2 seconds.
Ouais, avec André alors, si on fait des clean shots. André, clean shot, ça veut pas dire que t'es pas là. Hein. Clean shot, c'est together.
Bon, on a profité de l'arrêt à Dayton pour faire un biplace. On va essayer aujourd'hui, on verra si ça marche.
Comme on peut pas rabattre le ciel. Toi tu t'assieds sur le dossier, je m'assieds devant.
Toujours, donc on change dans les aiguilles de la montre. Hein.
Bon, ok. Let's go. Ok.
Ouais, ça je devrais savoir.
Avant le départ, là, parce que... C'est bon?
Oui, j'écoute. On peut démonter le dé qu'on voulait, il est détaché. Ok, alors je vais faire bien l'intérieur, puis dès qu'ils sont loin, on s'en occupe. Oui, il y a Gabriel qui est en train de vider l'intérieur.
Non, c'est bien. Et on pousse dans l'axe, on regarde bien là où il y a deux queues cette fois. C'est passé. Ouais, il y a deux queues, toujours.
On va surveiller. Là, on a enlevé les guillemets.
Happy birthday, Guy! Merci. Bon anniversaire.
So you briefed him well, I hope, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He doesn't really
He knows what he has to do, huh?
I have to stand still and hold position.
He knows how much he can hold.
Huh?
He knows how much he can hold.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
He has a system to measure
Dynamometer.
in the arm. Say, yeah, I can pull, no, not more, it's fine. Huh? So we are in the air. Not yet, but getting close.
Super good. Just hold wind is okay.
Yeah, almost, yeah.
Rolling
You
distance.
just have to choose, decide, do I go left or right
Right
of
of
the
the
tower?
tower.
So don't hesitate. I mean,
There's no time to decide.
And don't look at it because you fly where you look.
bon, c'est bien. So we'll, as soon as we continue to arrive, not as soon as we arrive, but we'll do also this 150 hours and so on. Like we decided, like, we just postpone one day and then we see what next.
Well, this decision was based on the DC2 issue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it still,
So we can
still
do.
remains.
It stays the same, yeah. On the switch, so we do everything we want to do. Super. Okay.
Danke Dübendorf fürs Helfen. Problem lösen. Danke Geri, Röbi und Richi und Oli und Lukas. Und Peter natürlich, auf jeden Fall. Merci.
seul, mais la probabilité est supérieure que tu en aies deux comme un jour que pas, en fait.
Ça,
Malgré
c'est malade,
ouais, c'est assez
sur
intéressant.
365 jours.
Ouais, ouais. Bon. Meilleur.
Merci. Ça va, là?
Il va monter, il va allumer les moteurs et puis il va directement par-dessus la tente.
Toi qui fraîche pas le chariot passé, on l'a vu.
C'est la solo qui va prendre.
Ouais, le 28, c'est beau.
Ouais, puis tu entends toutes les dents.
Ouais, les dents de sagesse, ça fait longtemps qu'ils sont là. Allez, rire. On va toucher les... C'est qui que tu joins? Ah.
Donc j'ai répondu fin de la matinée. Non, hier matin. J'ai dit tout ok pour moi.
Non,
et
mais
puis
j'ai pas reçu, j'ai même reçu.
Oh, c'est resté bloqué dans ma boîte alors.
Ah oui, c'est pas grave.
Ah ouais. Donc non, c'était bon, mais j'ai rien
C'est bête
rajouté.
pour l'équipe, quoi, parce
Ouais,
qu'après
c'est
ils
con,
reçoivent trop
bien
tard.
sûr.
Ouais.
Non, c'est pour ça que j'ai dit que c'était go.
Oui.
Quoi.
Mais moi, j'ai pas reçu.
Bon.
Puis j'ai en plus vérifié mes
Ouais,
junk
mais
mails.
ici on n'avait pas de
Ouais,
connexion, donc je suis bête avec le téléphone, etc.
Ouais,
J'ai pas vu que c'est bon parti. On fera mieux la prochaine fois.
Oui.
Tu l'as pas fermé la porte? Ben oui, mais ça va être rapide. Non, attends, la porte, faut la fermer après. Non, la ferme après. Donc le trépied, il faut l'amener maintenant. Devant.
Je vais marcher un peu. Oui, oui, après, mais j'aime bien. Oh, ok.
Et moi, je vais venir avec vous pour une
Ah,
fois.
d'accord.
It's a first for me.
Mais bien, si on a de la place, c'est sympa.
C'est bien.
C'est sympa.
Vous pouvez faire, c'est marcher
sympa.
avec. Ouais. Toi, tu veux marcher avec
Ouais,
nous?
j'aime bien marcher.
Moi, je vais avec Michel.
Alors, il faudra aller maintenant dans le deuxième pick-up parce qu'ils vont rester devant.
Tu préfères pas marcher?
C'est soit ça, soit vous marchez.
Euh,
Par contre, il faudrait juste qu'on chope un gilet éventuellement.
alors, est-ce que... On parle de combien de temps?
Maintenant. Ouais. D'accord. Donc si vous marchez, vous vous mettez derrière l'avion maintenant. Ok. Hein
Nico. Il est où, Nico?
On va s'en trouver un.
Let's go behind the media. Everybody behind the airplane. Derrière, tu veux, Lima? Derrière l'avion? Parce qu'on va avancer devant. Derrière, media derrière. Antoine derrière.
Anniversaire. Happy birthday, Guy.
28 ans. Attention, vigilance.
C'est la première fois que je vais en bus, non? J'ai jamais marché avec l'avion.
Can you present a little bit these people you see on the list?
So Carol is in charge of the team support. So she's taking care of all the teams of us, and so she's just in charge of all our transportation, the hotel, what we are eating, in charge of that everything is going well, and you know, all the transport, the plane, and so migration, so many things. You cannot imagine how it is important and how much she has to do with 50% to move from one place to another, and she has the big challenge, she will tell you about that, to organize our hotel without knowing when we are arriving and when we are leaving. So I was listening at her yesterday, explaining to the woman of the New York hotel that yes, we don't know the day, but we will arrive with 50%, and we don't know yes, we can stay for 2 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, we will see. And so, Carol, you can speak.
This is my challenge.
What was the reaction before people understand? We have to be 50 rooms, but they don't know when or how long.
Yeah, they're always surprised and they never understand. So, of course, they want to make the best out of their business, but it doesn't work with our project. So, I force them to change the way they work. And actually, it works most of the time.
So everyone has his own challenge, you know, in this team.
Reste avec l'avion.
Ouais.
messieurs. Merci. Tu veux même pas avec nous? T'arrives pas, hein, tu dois faire un petit bain de foot. Ouais, deux fois. Ouais, puis c'est sympa, j'aime bien ça. Ouais. Je te laisse. À tout à l'heure. Bon. C'est qu'il nous reste ici. On a tout. Donc on ne fait pas vraiment de readiness, hein. On est ready. Ok. je fais moins le contrôle que les gens sont dehors.
Ouais.
Ça va?
Ouais. Donc ils sont dans le pick-up et le grand truc, ils sont ralliés. Donc on n'a pas de gens en indépendants et tout ça.
Ça va très bien.
C'est parfait.
Je wil de tijd weer in de plek aan microfoon. Give him the out cube. Yeah. Can you open his back, please?
On ralentit, on attend qu'il tourne. They are lost, they don't know where to go. No, we turn right.
Michel qui fait du social media.
La lumière avant, ça va être la lumière arrière.
Ouais, reviens sur la piste, sur le taxiway.
Tu vas le mettre en panne ton vélo.
On a passé à l'année, donc on va passer. Et Daniel? Ouais, ils sont un peu hauts, ouais.
Presque en fait sur la piste 24, en fait,
ouais, là, non, parce que la dernière.
Alors, puis tu mets le guide d'anniversaire sur la 7 normale. Ouais, pour se laver, c'est la première fois. Ah, j'ai déjà vu embrasser SIA sur la tail. C'est vrai que ça fait 3 ans. Sauf si le ciel tombe sur la tête. Petit. Imagine il va manger quoi en plus vers l'arrière.
Vers le haut. Ouais, Daniel, voilà. Ça c'est mieux.
mouse will not put in the right position. The mouse was at the wrong place. The mouse here was put in the emergency place. The mouse A was put instead of the B, and the B was put instead of the A, which is a very practical use of memory. So it was really good to test because it was just not working with the mouse. Yeah, works.
Hello, Stephen. This is Kari Lundgren. I'm the presenter for Solar Impulse TV. Can you hear me?
Yes, good evening.
Good morning to you, I think.
Can you hear me?
I can, loud and clear.
Good morning to you.
Ladies
What
and
time is it where you are?
It is just a little bit after 9 o'clock a.m., so not as early as it is there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is actually Stephen Wright. He is the great-grandnephew of the Wright brothers. Stephen, it's great to have you on the show. So tell me a little bit about, tell me maybe about your a little bit of family history, and then tell me what it's like to have Solar Impulse on the ground there in Dayton.
Well, sure. My sister Amanda and I are fortunate enough to have been born into a family of that includes a couple of world-renowned personalities. Wilbur and Orville Wright were our great-granduncles. And when Amanda and I were children, we grew up hearing stories from our great-aunts and uncles who were actually small children playing on the floor of their uncle's bicycle shop while they built a rather strange machine in the back of that shop. And as my grandfather said when he presented the world's first practical flying machine to the Smithsonian in 1948, they just assumed that all bicycle shops built flying machines as children.
That's a great story. I think I'm sure that it must have been quite inspirational for them. What's it been like to have Solar Impulse there in Dayton?
It's amazing. This is a machine that's really a breakthrough in technology, just as the machine that Wilbur and Orville built about 113 years ago was. So to see it in the skies over Dayton, where aviation really was born, is just an incredible thing to see. We get to witness history here, even though we missed that great piece of history 113 years ago. We've gotten to see a brand new chapter be written with the landing of Solar Impulse here in Dayton, and it's just amazing.
And I think your great-granduncles had to deal with a lot of trial and error and a lot of skepticism. Do you see parallels with what's happening at Solar Impulse?
Well, most definitely. I probably would guess that 10 or 15 years ago, people were telling the crew of Solar Impulse that what they were attempting couldn't be done. and it was just that way with Wilbur and Orville as well. As a matter of fact, in those early days of experimentation with heavier-than-air flight, those who were doing the experimentation often kept their experiments a secret just for fear that they would be viewed as literally crazy. Wilbur and Orville kept their flying experiments a secret for different reasons. They didn't want people to know what they were up to and see their technology, but nonetheless, André and Bertrand took on a very bold experiment when they set out to build this machine, and here we are, and they've done it, and it's just amazing. You know, back in the days of Wilbur and Orville Wright, to think that man could fly was the very standard of impossibility, and it takes people like André and Bertrand to think outside the box and push us further.
And do you think this is a bit of a hypothetical, but do you think if your great granduncles were alive today that they would be surprised to see an aircraft like Solar Impulse, or do you think that they would have seen it as the natural evolution of the aviation sector, I guess?
Well, I have no doubt that they would be surprised at this technology. Wilbur, in a press interview one time, said he couldn't envision a flying machine carrying more than 4 or 5 people. So they were just thinking, in those days, of course, engine power was the big technology that had to be improved upon, and that's all the farther they could really think. Of course, my Uncle Orville lived a lot further, and he got to see Chuck Yeager break the sound barrier just a few months before his death in 1948. So he might have had a little more imagination with the technology, but still, I don't think either one of them would have ever envisioned that the power of the sun could power an airplane.
And tell me, you know, many of our viewers may not have been to Dayton, but I know there's a lot of history there. If you are somebody who's interested in knowing a little bit more about the Wright brothers, what places can they visit, and what can they see in Dayton?
Well, the most major attraction in Dayton is, of course, the Museum of the United States Air Force, and this is a massive facility that would take literally 3 or 4 days to walk through if you really wanted to do it in detail. We also have a national park dedicated to the memory of Wilbur and Orville Wright and the poet Paul Laurence Dunbar as well. We also have in Dayton on display probably the world's most intact original Wright flying machine. That's the 1905 Wright Flyer 3. And what many people don't realize is that after that fateful day on December 17th, 1903, when Wilbur and Orville first flew on the sands of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, the machine that they were flying wasn't a machine of practical use. That machine flew less than 2 minutes total flying time in 4 flights, and then it was destroyed. So Wilbur and Orville came back to Dayton and knew that it wasn't practical to head back down to the Outer Banks every time they wanted to test a flying machine. So they began testing their machines here in Dayton. And on October 5th, 1905, they successfully flew the Wright Flyer 3 for 38 minutes and some change, and were able to prove the practicality of a flying machine. So if you come to Dayton, Ohio, you'll see the world's first practical airplane, and it's about 75 to 80% intact on display here in Dayton.
Well, that sounds like a good enough reason to come to Dayton in my book. It sounds fascinating. I'm definitely inspired to come for a visit and see an airplane like that. I think sometimes people forget just how often your uncles, they didn't just try once. They kept on coming back to the drawing board and revising it. It sounds like it was it was an ongoing lessons.
Well, yeah, the story just began in 1903. And that's where a lot of the history books leave off. But there's a lot more to tell, and much of that story is right here in Dayton.
Excellent, Stephen. Well, I should let you get back to watching the takeoff. Thank you very much for your time. We've really enjoyed being in Dayton in such the center of aviation history, and we appreciate all your efforts on keeping your great-granduncle's memories and alive, and reminding everyone of just what incredible people they were. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Stephen Wright there, the great-grandnephew of Wilbur and Orville Wright, so a very special person and one of the people that was on the ground welcoming André Borschberg when he arrived in Dayton, and now on the ground for the takeoff. So once again, today's flight is Bertrand Piccard flying to Lehigh Valley International Airport from Dayton, Ohio. The takeoff will be happening in about 40 minutes, so stay tuned.
Miwa? Yes. Yon is calling you. Ah, sorry.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
She's coming.
No, I think we covered, but maybe somebody has another question. Can you just give me 1 sec? Just have a call. No, we have to call the FCC, which is the control center. Hello? Wait a moment. Wait. Okay.
Batteries on them.
We have about 650 kilograms of batteries. That's almost, I think, 1,500 pounds. They are located in all the 4 gondolas, very close to the motors, to again improve the efficiency and reduces the losses. So it's one way is to store energy, the other way is to store energy in altitude. We climb to 28,000 feet, something that Bertrand will not do today because the flight is short and we have to accommodate. And we go too fast, in fact, to simply to the destination. So no need to go so high. But normally we go to 28,000 feet, which is almost the altitude of the airliner, and we have energy in this way, and of course energy in batteries, and both together allow us to fly through the night and to be able to continue afterwards the following day, and therefore day by day. A week, potentially a month, and at the end it's the pilot who becomes, the most difficult part of the equation.
Wow, great. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Sir, how were you able to stay awake for 5 days despite being tired to fly from Japan to Hawaii?
So I use very short resting period, but I also use yoga and meditation. So it's a way to keep the energy. To relax, but also being conscious and being able to, at the same time, keep an eye on what the airplane is doing and potentially also react. So the combination of both, in fact, allowed me to do it. But I think it's also a question of mindset. If you believe it's difficult, it will be difficult, and if you believe that's something you can do, you approach it in a completely different way. So I saw this really as a fantastic experience. And when you are all this surface of water, there's nothing behind, there's nothing in the front, close by at least, and you have this technology which brings you slowly, miles after miles, in a silent way, over this ocean. It's a joy. It's an incredible moment.
And then, could you say and spell your first and last name for me? I'm sorry.
André Borschberg, B-O-R-S-C-H-B-E-R-G.
Thank you very much.
What country are you from?
Switzerland.
Can I ask you a ruder question?
The ruder
Something
one.
about bodily things, like you sit for all those hours. Were you doing some kind of exercises so you didn't get blood clots? When you were hungry? When nature called? You know, the cruder things.
We do all these things. But first, I designed a seat on which you can put the backrest horizontal. And when you do this, the size of this surface is almost the size of a yoga mat. I don't know if you practice yoga, but so I could and I can do a certain number of yoga positions, not all of them because I cannot stand, for example. So I cannot make a sun salutation, if you know, but at least a certain number of posture which keeps the body functioning well, and also out and symmetric. Deployed left. Now I retract. Okay, retracted and left. Elevators. Down. Full up. Vous la mettez sous l'antenne VHF? Voyez? Sous l'antenne VHF and round. Full left. Full right. Back to neutral. Rudder. Full left. Rudder. Full right. Back to neutral. Just well packed.
Can you hear me?
Well good, no chemicals for preservation, and quite.
I can hear you.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Gregory Blatt. He's one of our managing directors here and on the ground in Dayton. Tell me, Greg, it's been quite an exciting 24 hours. How have the last 24 hours been?
Needless to say, a little bit of a roller coaster. If we go back 48 hours, we were at the same time in this very place quite depressed, quite nervous, quite tense with the mobile hangar deflating. Has the plane been damaged? Will we be able to continue not just to the next leg, but even further on? Will we be continue the rest around the world? 24 hours later, we're standing in the same place with the airplane about a couple hundred meters to my right, ready to be taken off. So needless to say, a big sigh of relief and a lot of excitement and good energy going on right here.
And tell me a little bit about, have you had any time at all to visit Dayton and see some of the sites?
Myself, no, but the pilots did see some iconic places. They spent the whole day with the Wright family, visiting Orville Wright's house and different other parts of the family collection, and really getting understanding a little bit from a bird's eye point of view. They went to the Air Force Museum, so they did a few things, and some of the teams got around, but we all have different schedules, different rhythms. So unfortunately, I didn't have much time, but I know the pilots, and Dayton is really an important place in aviation history, and I'm really glad that the pilots had a chance to meet and interact on that level.
No, we know you've got a lot on your plate thinking about planning and organizing other airports and everything. Tell me a little bit about today's flight. Are you feeling pretty good about what the takeoff and everything, and also what you and the team then have to do afterwards to get to Lehigh Valley International Airport?
Yeah, another day. That's
It's never worked. It's never worked.
The team is all ready. I think we're getting good at this, but we're not getting complacent. But we're getting good at this. But I think there's a general excitement about getting to Lehigh and then getting to New York, and everybody's really anxious to get to New York because New York represents, on one hand, an end of an important segment, the start of a other important segment. It's where all the partners are going to come together. We'll do some different gatherings, different events. We'll hopefully do the Statue of Liberty photo shooting. So there's a good buzz, and we actually have a team now in New York busy putting the preparations in place. So this is really Solar Impulse at its best. All kinds of people all over the world doing all kinds of different things, and everything will soon come together.
And you actually probably remember very well the last time Solar Impulse 1 was flying into JFK. Are you excited about repeating that exercise with Solar Impulse 2?
Well, yeah. I mean, being invited a second time back to Kennedy is absolutely fantastic, and the folks there are wonderful, and it is one of the world's biggest airports. So it does have an importance, and New York to Europe is also very important in aviation, and I know it's a flight that Bertrand has been dreaming about for a long time. So yeah, we're excited to go back to New York, and especially because last time we couldn't do the Statue of Liberty photo shooting, but hopefully this time we will be able to do that.
Excellent. Well, I think everyone will be very much looking forward to that. I should let you get back to the work you've got to do on the ground there, but thank you very much, Greg. We'll be touching base at landing, I'm sure.
Okay, great. Take care, everybody. Great talking to you. Regards to everybody in Monaco. You guys are unbelievable. My thoughts and my respect and my themes are with you all. Cheers.
Greg Blatt there, one of our managing directors, and a very hard-working person. He's in charge of finding different airports and coordinating, and he is always busy, and he always has a new and exciting hat to surprise us with. So Bertrand Piccard and Solar Impulse 2 will be taking off from Dayton in a little under a half an hour. They will be flying to Lehigh Valley International Airport. For those of you not familiar with that part of the United States, it's about 100 kilometers north of Philadelphia. And it will take about 17 hours. And yeah, we will be keeping you posted throughout the flight. We've got lots of interviews. We'll, of course, be speaking to Mission Director Raymond Claire and Bertrand when he's in the sky, answering some of your questions. So definitely stay tuned.
Quality of what is shown. Full breadth of history from.
Yeah, exactly.
frequency of the tower, frequency of the ground. Now, could you believe it's on? Now, could you believe it's on? Yeah, could you believe on? Nano on, 3.0 red line. Victor will close it later on. Seatbelt, like you know, I will put it afterward when everything is checked. Telemetry working for you?
No, well, it was.
Okay. Yes, and on.
There was the first generation Vampire, then the Red on.
So it was a similar airframe.
Yes, exactly. It's a jet evolution. It's the same technologies. It was funny because it's I think it was a structure which was designed to test the cockpit engine. Finally it flew so well that they started orders and manufacturing.
Wind trucks to
first one we had was with
wind truck, gas plane, etc. Tu fais après?
Part of it, not everything, but part of the frame was in.
D'accord, très bien.
The British were famous for their good wooden airplanes.
Yeah.
Mosquito.
There was nowadays mosquito in the museum.
Yes. Every one of those airplanes at the museum has a very unique story.
That's the thing. I think the museum does a pretty good job. In the U.S., they have a lot from around the world.
Oh, that's very nice. But they have no vampires venom, I think.
They still have more to collect. There's more out there.
We have set up a museum in Switzerland. All the jets we flew in our Air Force. And we try to fly them as well. We fly two-seaters. So we had a Hunter. Okay, so now we have to do
Peter?
We have actually flying, we have a Mirage 3. It's a macro airplane, it's great, passenger flight.
Get my tracker.
You didn't fly, did you fly F-104s or F-104s?
No, I flew the F5, so I hope to get an F5 Tuesday.
They're up next to Dayton, like no takeoff.
They were great team, passionate team. Last team also.
Mechanics, security, lead with
maintenance clubs. These are former Air Force mechanics who know this airplane so well. So I think that's what I've never seen an airplane taken and maintained so well.
It becomes their child.
Switzerland, it's like Swiss watches. I mean, everything is well taken care of. So it's nice to keep all these assets alive and if possible also in flying conditions.
Have you seen the museum in Duxford, England?
Yeah, I was there. One of my neighbors was one of the collectors.
It's the same model that you're talking about where they fly everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they also have fantastic machines.
It's too bad they can't do that.
Spitfires.
Spitfires alone are wonderful to see fly. They're just beautiful.
So you went to Duxford as well? Because they have a lot of great happenings in summer.
I've not been to Duxford. Amanda has been there. Our cousin lives not far from there.
Okay.
But I haven't gotten over to see it yet. We have the great air show in Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
Sure.
You've heard of that. If you ever get a chance to see that.
No, we went there.
You've been there?
With Bertrand, we gave a speech about the electric air.
Hello.
Hey,
how are you?
Yeah, good.
So you guys are getting out of here, huh?
Yeah, unfortunately too early.
Yeah. Well, come back and just visit when you're done.
And here in the MCC, we actually have a school coming to visit us here. It's Saint-Charles, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And they've got a message for Bertrand, so they're all going to tell him their message. Merci. What? Perfect. That was great.
You can see it very clearly. So we have evidence of really good margins. Discovery. But the exception.
I assume that was the first time something like that happened.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's first time that this happened, but we had many things. We tried to anticipate a lot.
I think Daytonians did that so you would have to stay here another day.
Yeah, stop it, put the flag in. Otherwise.
We knew there was going to be another day of nice weather. So.
Yeah. Everywhere is there's some bad weather coming from the west. Maybe not extremely bad. Ah, yes?
Pretty unpredictable this time of year, so it's probably good to be getting out of here today.
Yeah.
They'll probably catch up to you tomorrow, though, I would imagine.
Yeah, it could be, yes. But we have a fixed tent where we are going now. So it's a good structure. So that's good up to almost 100 kilometers an hour. But you don't want to be in a stormy situation, yes. And then in the JFK we have a fixed hangar.
So you're going to fly into JFK?
Yeah.
Second time.
Wow. I hope they don't stack you up with all the rest of the traffic.
I know, they're
No, they bring it.
incredible. I mean,
They bring it
they're incredible. Last time I arrived there, I had waypoints, and I didn't make any holdings, did my waypoints one after next, and then they were getting rid of people slowly. Then they shut down the entire airport. The 4 runways were completely stopped. There was no moving on the ground for 20 minutes.
They did something
Silence.
they wouldn't do for
And
anybody.
the guys were on the ground, there was no airplane. I mean, like now, nothing. And in JFK, every 30 seconds, you have one guy taking off there. So it was impressive.
1,500 flights a day.
So this time,
it's great.
This time, it will happen again. So they were not disgusted, or I don't know.
Tego. Daniel.
Okay, we're closing the door.
And now we have Mission Director Raymond Claire in the studio with us to tell us a little bit about today's flight. But first, Raymond, I'm going to ask you a quick question, which is, we were supposed to be flying yesterday, but we are flying today. Why is that?
I don't know what you already explained, but we had on Monday a technical issue with the mobile hangar, and some of the fabrics of the mobile hangar touched the aircraft, so we postponed the flight because we were not sure if the aircraft was damaged or not. So we used yesterday, the engineers used yesterday to verify if we have damage or not, and we continue the planning. And by chance, the weather changed a little bit, because on Monday we said no flight possible on Wednesday, but as bad weather to Dayton is coming late this morning, we saw, okay, maybe we can fly. So that's why we are now 11 minutes before takeoff, and that's very good, very happy.
Excellent. I know you're busy and have to go back to work, so I will have one more question for you, which is, what are the challenges of today's flight?
Well, the challenges of today's flight is first this morning with the battery, because they will go quite low. We will have Cyrus at dawn, so this will be one of the challenges. We have to climb due to air traffic restrictions, and we'll have to manage. This is the first point. Another big point is logistics, because the Ilyushin will go to New York, and then they will have to bring the
That's a
material.
backup aircraft, isn't it?
No, it's the material for Niels, and so it will come by road to Lehigh Valley. So the timing for the ground crew this afternoon will be quite tough, and but we are happy to have Damien here, the head of logistics, and maybe you can talk with him later to explain all the challenges he's facing.
Excellent. No, I definitely will chat with him. One last question. There's some cloud cover later in the flight as well.
The issue is in the morning with some cirrus. Afterwards, we'll manage because we stay at low altitude, so no problem for energy.
Excellent. All right. Well, I will let you get back to work, and we will be watching the takeoff in about 10 minutes' time.
Yeah, very good.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Keep watching. We will have the takeoff, as I said, in about 10 minutes' time.
I think 50 to 60 people, kind of like service people that are with them. This year we have the F-35, which we're excited about. That hasn't been in Dayton before, and it's
with a demo as well. Or?
Yeah, it's a demo.
Oh, it's a demo.
It's not going to fly. It's not going to fly a demo, is it?
No.
Just static.
Not a flying demo. Okay, static. Okay.
And then we have quite. It'll be a good air show. It should be really good this year.
It's going to be on this airport?
Right here. Yeah. We're actually standing.
You see all these little things there, like the tents and tables and stuff like that?
The chalet
The
that
chalet
you were
for
using.
that?
Yeah, that's all part of that.
Okay, so I thought it was almost the infrastructure you keep along the
We just leave it up year
Okay,
round.
you leave it. Okay.
And those are people like sponsors and companies.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
Is that, do you folks organize, or is there a separate organization?
There's a separate organization in town that operates it, not-for-profit, that puts it on. I forget how many years. It's one of the
I was just going to
oldest.
ask you, how many years has that gone?
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I know
It
it's
started out
over
as-
40 years that we've had an air show here.
They used to have it at the Air Force Base, and it started out as what they call Armed Forces Day, and then they sort of brought it over to the
Right.
civilian side, and that's been a good 30 or 40 years, I'll bet.
No, but everybody cuts down the expenses on that now, everywhere.
They have been able to operate it and make a little money and put a little in the bank. So they actually have some reserves, so they can get through lean years if we have a bad year. But it's been, even with cutback in military, they've been able to do it, to pull it off.
They usually get a military team every year, and that really determines the success of the show in a big way, because everybody shows up for the Blue Angels or the Thunderbirds,
right.
and they close the show, of course. So once they're done flying, everybody just walks to the gates. So they're all here to see
So it has
them.
to be the last one.
Yeah, it's the last show, last act.
There are a lot of other great pilots here too.
Yeah, we had a great show in Switzerland a couple of years ago, which lasted 10 days.
Wow.
When they did over the 2 weekends and the week in between. Of course, the week in between was much less in terms of air shows, but more conferences and things like this. But was interesting to see that to make it so such a period of time was also a great success because of the possibility to organize different happenings.
This started out that way.
Yeah.
It was an expo, and aircraft dealers would come in, and,
as
and
well,
there was a lot more
yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
But the general aviation business is really kind of suffered and changed quite a bit in the U.S. Okay, they should be doing their warm-up soon.
Yeah, the markets are moving also to other countries. When you look at China, I don't know, a couple of years ago, China had maybe 100 business jets, compared to something like 20,000 in the year, something like this. You see where the potential is today. Huh?
They didn't open up commercial aviation until 4 or 5 years ago, did they?
Yeah, and it's slowly starting, but it's. I think they need to train 500,000 pilots or something like
Build
that.
dozens.
It's crazy numbers, huh?
Yeah, yeah. That's why everybody's over there trying to get their business. We've actually been trying to expand our business into China for several years now.
Yeah?
It's been a long battle.
Yeah, with them opening the airspace.
Do we switch to hot mic?
I have hot mic, yeah.
Copied.
Now I would like to dim the iPad. iPad is dim. I will put this side to red. This is fine. This one is fine. I have all cameras. Okay, so on my side, things go fine. I think people start to be ready outside. So I'm ready for the readiness.
Can you confirm the door is closed?
Yeah, the door is closed. Yeah, affirm the window also.
And the seatbelt and the parachute straps are
I don't hear you very well.
mounted and closed?
Yes,
Sorry, tightened?
seatbelt, yeah, shoulders and hips, and the wool top is tangled. Bill, I'm sorry, but the wool top is tangled.
Also, Memo. We have all the points closed up to general readiness.
And the last point is final readiness.
Shall I tell them already? I think is this okay?
So,
Transponder after general?
Laurent, you ready?
Yesterday, I was not allowed to make a right turn and overhead before going east because it was 6 in the morning and there was traffic. Is it still the case now, you think? Or because it would be really nicer if I can turn right, make the overhead before going east. And it's 4 in the morning and I don't think we have a lot of traffic. What do you think?
Yeah, we have left turn here in the procedures, which was communicated, so you have to stick to the plan.
Yes, okay. Okay.
Okay, and ATCs just says no, left turn is the thing we have to do.
Okay, for the new win, thank you very much. Oui, super, merci beaucoup. Tout à fait, oui, merci. Merci Daniel, merci beaucoup. So if you can tell me at what moment I can ask for the clearance to the tower, function of the readiness of the team.
We are currently trying to reach everybody for the general readiness.
I'm with Lima, but they are still...
For information, Raymond is on the phone with Lima, and they are ready in a minute.
Okay, I can already ask for the IFR clearance.
Yeah, just stand by quickly.
Hotel Bravo Sierra India, Bravo. Do you have the walk or clearance to give me? Frequency after departure 118.42 for 6754, initial 5,000 feet. Hotel Bravo Sierra India, Bravo. Hotel Bravo Sierra India, Bravo.
Laurent, tu me dis hein, quand on peut y aller.
Did you copy in Monaco?
We copied. Squawk is 6754 and up to 5,000 feet. You stay with the tower. Afterwards is departure 118.42.
Okay, so all station for the final readiness call, solar media. Solar media is ready. Solar ground. Solar ground ready, catching crew in position. Solar safety. Okay, solar safety is ready, wind 1905 knots. Then you can ask solar impulse.
Solar Impulse, are you ready?
Christophe.
I'm ready from Solar Impulse.
Copied.
Solar Impulse 2 and Bertrand Piccard poised to take off from Dayton Airport. They've done the final checks and takeoff should be happening any minute.
Thank you for everything. Hotel Bravo, Sierra India Bravo, I would be ready for departure runway 18.
Thank you.
Departure at own risk, runway 18, turn left to course. Hotel Bravo, Sierra India Bravo. Okay, everybody, I'm switching on the motors. Thank you so much.
Ça a l'air bien. J'allais oublier d'enlever ma cravate.
Okay, Monaco, engines docking. I just would like to say that I dedicate this flight to the engineers who made that flight possible after the incident we had. The engineers in Dubendorf, in Monaco, and here on site to Dayton. I dedicate this flight to them. They did a wonderful job, and thanks to them, I'm now leaving Dayton to Lehigh Valley. That's fantastic.
Copied, we will forward this message. Have a good flight.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's go. Beautiful moment. Okay, so rolling, speed raising on MIC, speed raising on Vinter, G3X also, everything seems coherent, rotation.
Toujours majestueux.
27. Well, it's all aligned, huh? Since the hangar fell on the boom, everything looks better than before.
Great to see PDR after all our emotions.
A little bit backward and a little bit fast. A little bit of right wind, right crosswind. Wind direction angle about 10 degrees. Stream backward and still too fast. Okay, I can reduce already a little bit. Going to 11. Okay, passing 500 feet. I'm not yet at the end of the runway, so when I'm at the end of the runway, I will turn. Monaco, you still with me?
Yeah, copied.
Okay. I have a nice moon in front of me. Okay, so if we see the speed, it's 27 on the MIC, it's 25.5 on the G3X, and it's 27 on the Winter.
Okay, copied.
Okay, I will turn left now.
I'm not online, huh?
Everything's looking good for me.
Yes, we need to go.
Okay, I will retract the landing gear.
Okay, copied.
I can stay a little bit. I can just stay a little bit.
Okay, everybody go back, please.
Solar Impulse 2 and Bertrand Piccard on their way to Lehigh Valley International Airport in Pennsylvania. They are taking off from Dayton Airport, and things seem to be going well so far after the slight mishap we had with the mobile hangar, so that is very good news for us. This flight will be about 17 hours long. Bertrand will reach a peak altitude of 15,000 feet. We will be keeping you posted throughout the flight, and we will have interviews with our mission engineers, some weather guys, and also, of course, Bertrand himself from the cockpit. So definitely stay tuned and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We've got lots going on, so we will definitely be keeping you posted. I will let you leave you now with a quick video we put together of the highlights of the takeoff.
Modern aviation is a combination of both. Otherwise, airplanes would not fly without the Wright brothers, and without my grandfather, the airplane would still fly very low altitude, unpressurized. So it's this combination of several pioneering adventurers who make the present.